Hello and welcome to the New York Golf Course Foundation how-to video series. In this video, we'll discuss just how easy it is for you to develop and implement a surface water quality testing program at your golf facility. This New York Golf Course Foundation video is made possible by funds from the New York State Turfgrass Environmental Stewardship Fund grant in cooperation with the New York State Turfgrass Association. Before we discuss how to implement your program, let's talk about why you should strongly consider implementing a water quality testing program at your golf facility. The foundational reason for developing a water quality testing program is rooted in understanding that knowledge is power and that you must sample your water in order to understand the environmental impact your nutrient and pesticide management programs are having on your water resources. It's becoming increasingly common for local governments to require annual water testing. And given the societal trends toward stricter environmental regulations, it's very likely there'll come a time when golf facilities around the state of New York are going to be required to test their water for pesticide and nutrient contamination. Improved communication is another important reason to consider developing this type of program. You can use the water quality test results as a communication tool. If there are no problems with your water quality, you can use this information to develop relationships within your club and community by promoting your commitment to protecting local water resources. On the other hand, if you discover that you have a water quality problem, knowing that information will inform you to take corrective action. Once you've corrected the problem, this information can be used to develop meaningful relationships within your community. Additionally, documenting the history of your water quality over time can help you recognize valuable patterns and trends, which can help you fine-tune your water resource protection program. This historical information can be helpful to the club in the future by expressing a complete story of the club's commitment to protecting water resources by using proper water resource protection techniques. The data collected from a well-designed water testing program can be instrumental in validating the performance and precision of pest control at a properly maintained golf facility. Finally, be a front runner. Imagine a curious neighbor secretly pulling a water sample from your property and sending it to a lab for analysis. It's important to know what's in your water before a neighbor shows up at your door telling you what he found in your water. And I'm aware of an instance where this has actually happened. It's also easy for an adjacent property owner to pull a sample from a water source running onto their property from your course. So getting in front of any potential problem is always easier than being caught off guard. How do you get started? Well, let's begin the process by choosing a lab to analyze your samples. It's highly recommended that you use only an accredited lab for analysis. There are many accredited labs throughout the country who can perform the type of testing you'll need for your program. You should be able to find a lab via a simple online search, or you can consult with any number of experts in this field for additional recommendations. Once you've chosen a lab, I suggest you stick with that lab over time for sake of consistency. You'll need to determine what parameters you should test for. Testing protocols should be simplified to test only those parameters that are directly influenced by your specific course management program, including organic and inorganic levels of nitrogen, phosphorus, pesticide screen for certain pesticide used on the course should also be included. You should be able to determine which pesticides currently in use on your property have the highest potential to become problematic. If you're not sure what to test for, the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, offers guidance via their report prioritizing pesticide compounds for analytical methods development. And you can find this document online. It's important to establish a baseline for your testing parameters. To establish a baseline, you may need to test your water 4 times per year for a few years, using the same sampling locations each time. After a baseline's been established, testing for each parameter should be done a minimum of once per year. The timing of the water testing is a critical component. The idea is to give the chemical or nutrients enough time to move. Testing should be performed after a long enough interval that the parameters have had sufficient time and weather to move into water bodies. It may be difficult to align the various chemicals being tested with optimal timing. In fact, it's very likely that you'll need to break up your sampling into a couple separate dates to ensure you're sampling at the optimal time for a given parameter. For instance, you wouldn't test for a parameter in March when you're applying it in April. Once you have the general timing figured out, you should keep a close monitor of the weather forecast. Ideally, you'll pull a sample the day after a rain event. However, if the rain is too heavy, it could wash the chemicals or nutrients straight out of the water body testing zone. Likewise, if the rain's too light, it may have little to no impact on the potential movement of a parameter. Remember, you're looking for a worst case scenario. Some superintendents may get concerned because they're worried that the test might come back looking bad. But you have to remember, if the test results are not optimum, this is an opportunity for you to fix a problem that you may not have known existed. Remember, that's why we're testing the water in the first place. Most often, water quality problems can be addressed by simple changes in management strategies to a course's existing management program. You can find additional information about establishing a baseline at the New York Golf Course Foundation website, located at nysgolfbmp.cals.cornell.edu. Now, let's talk about where and how to test. Ideally, you'll test where a body of water flows onto your property and where it flows off your property. This strategy will reveal what impact, if any, your management program is having on the water as it flows through your course. If there's no water leaving or entering your course, but you have more than one lake or body of water, pick an upper and lower elevation monitoring point, or locate a vulnerable area such as a body of water near maintained steep slopes. When pulling the sample, be mindful not to allow contaminants such as leaf litter or organic material into your container. You should be careful not to pull the sample in too shallow of water either, as there's risk of contaminating that sample with sediment. You might have preservatives in the container sent to you by the lab, and if so, follow their strict instructions for properly filling the container with the water sample. Once the samples are pulled, they'll need to be packed in ice and sent to the lab via overnight delivery. Again, the lab will provide you with specific instructions on packing and shipping the samples. Because the sampling programs we are describing are voluntary, we will not go in depth on how to interpret your results in this video. But it is important for you to understand an acceptable range of results for your parameters. Regulatory standards exist for some, but not all of the parameters relevant to golf course water quality monitoring. You could use the EPA's National Primary Drinking Water Regulations set of standards as a guide for those chemicals listed. Unless your town requires you to test your water and has identified a structure in determining action levels based on your results, the action levels you adopt will be based on the set of standards you determine are appropriate. This will be based on your goals for your program, such as a comparison of monitoring points entering the site with those leaving the site to determine if your golf course maintenance practices are having any impact on water quality, or a comparison of results over a period of time to determine trends, or a comparison of results with an acceptable range of values as determined by DEC or EPA standards. We hope you found this video helpful in understanding the importance and ease of developing a water quality monitoring program at your golf facility. You can find additional information about establishing a water quality testing program at the New York Golf Course Foundation website, located at nysgolfbmp.cals.cornell.edu. www.cals.cornell.edu. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with our latest content.